Well, there were reactions in Parliament on the various sectors mentioned by President Akufo-Addo. Before we get into that, let's hear from Ghanaians on what they make of the President's assessment of the economic performance for last year.
In terms of security situation in the country today, I think I would say that Ghanaians are not safe and secure. And therefore, the government must do something for Ghanaians. I know I have evacuated from Sakumono to a place in Medina. I have had experience of armed robbery visits to my house for 3 occasions. The only thing is that I'm only lucky I'm alive today. And that was the area the policeman was also killed recently, and some people ran away. So the security situation is something the government must deal with. You see, punitive measures must be put in place to punish people who do not want others to live comfortable lives. If the government will sit aloof and look on and think that the court system is there, police are there, armed robbers are killing police. So how can we say that we are secure? If we are killing police, what about ordinary people? So the security situation, I'm saying that Ghanaians are not safe and we are not secure. Education, free senior high school. Some of us initially, we were a bit in doubt. But once it has been introduced, and the government has done its bit for at least first year to ensure that it moves on, it means that we can still mobilize money to ensure that the thing succeeds.
My true reflection of the state of the nation is one that is not too bright. Undeniably, some policies have been rolled out by the government, but when you look at what is actually happening in the economy, you realize that things are not going on well. Let's take the education sector. You realize that some schools are still battling with accommodation problems, facilities to accommodate students and have science practicals and all. We also have a situation where fuel prices are not too well. Taxi drivers and commercial drivers are complaining every now and then of fuel price hikes, despite the fact that some taxes have been reduced. When you look at unemployment, at this time, unemployment is at skyrocketing rates. When it comes to security, this one thing that has not been too well in the country for a while now. Right from the time that the president was sworn in, you realize some vigilante groups came out seizing public properties and then ransacking offices of government appointees and stopping them from doing their work. These are things that do not paint bright pictures about the country, and therefore I will urge the president to walk the talk rather than giving us what some of the policies that he has outlined to tackling the situation. They should tackle the situations rather than giving us what they intend to do about the situations.
In terms of education, I think to some extent he has done what he said he would do, except for some lapses here and there, which I believe that, of course, that is the life of politicians sometimes. They promise and then we need to look deeper into the promises they make, because there are some policies attached, and most Ghanaians don't look at that aspect. So I think that in terms of education, he said he was going to bring the free senior high school, and of course he has started. And then I think to some extent it's a step ahead, though there are some lapses here and there. I have a problem with the security regarding the Fulani, I should say, the death of the policemen and all those people. I think that there is a lot that needs to be put into the security aspect. In terms of sanitation, I would say that quite in recent times there has been an improvement. Even at where I come from in the central region, the open defecation is being dealt with seriously in that area. So I think that in terms of sanitation, the later part of 2017 and the early stages of 2018, more has been put into that.
Well, I think he has done well. That's from my perspective. He's putting much effort into saying to that students get quality education, and on top of what, the free education is so great. And I am saying that it's not just about free education, but quality education. He's putting so much effort into it. enrolling about 90,000 students into free SHS, and it's giving mothers the opportunity to see their child enroll in school. It's a dream come true for most people, and I think it's great. It's great.
The president has spoken, the minority has responded, and Ghanaians are speaking. Well, it appears that on the high radar of Ghanaians are security and education. But let's talk about the economy, because it has a trickling down effect on all of the other sectors. Now, on the phone for quick analysis on the issues highlighted by the president, especially on the economy, is Dr. Peter Quartey. He's professor at ISA. He joins me so we can talk a bit more about the things that the president has said about the economy. Professor Quartey, if you can hear me, thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. We've lost Professor Quartey. We're trying to reach him back on the line, but just a quick reminder of what the president said he has done as far as the economy is concerned. He says that public debt stock, which was 68.3%. Okay, we have Professor Quartey on the line at the moment. Professor Quartey, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Professor Quartey, by the way, is with the other Economic Institute of Statistics, Social and Economic Research, ISE, at the University of Ghana. Professor Quartey, we've just heard the president speak about what his team has done with the Ghanaian economy, which they say they inherited in a very bad state. He mentions things like the public debt stock being at 68.3% as against an annual target of 71%, for example. He says that the macroeconomic fundamentals are solid and that all critical indices are pointing in the right direction. Now, that's very technical economic terms. Is it reflective, or does it resonate with the sort of result that you've had in your research over the time? And what does it even mean?
Yes, I think the president pointed out clearly there were some mixed outcomes. Some were very good, and others were promises which we are yet to see outcomes or results. Yes, he spoke about the deficit. Deficit is basically matching your income against your expenditure, and then you divide by your total national income, or the amount of goods and services you produce. If you look at the deficit, from the speech, it declined from 9.3% of GDP to 5.6%
right.
of GDP. So that clearly shows that we are trying to cut our costs according to our size. In other words, we are spending within limits. You spend what you generate or what income you get. The deficit is narrowing, which is a good signal. It is good only if you are not cutting back on key expenditures, productive sectors of the economy. So it is a positive signal.
But does it reflect, sorry to cut you in there, Dr. Quartey, but does it reflect the sort of results that you've had from your research over the time, that we've actually reduced the fiscal deficit, to 5.6%?
Yes, certainly. I mean, we some of these national figures, nobody else can generate it except either the central bank or Ghana Statistical Service.
Okay.
Or the Ministry of Finance. ISA cannot generate GDP figures. ISA or whichever institution cannot generate budget deficit figures. These are figures we pick from our national institutions. So these are public information, and nobody can dispute those figures.
Right. Please go ahead with what you were saying earlier. I don't know if you'd like to address the annual average rates of debt accumulation that he says declined from 36% to 13.6% as of September 2017.
Yeah, debt accumulation has declined, but you see marginal decline in debt GDP ratio. Government has missed the target. The target was the target was 71%, and it's been able to reduce it to 68.3%. That is, if you look at the face value, But if one were to factor in the ESLA debt, that is the energy sector levy debt as proposed by the IMF, then we would say we haven't done much. Debt GDP ratio is about 72% thereabouts. So we haven't done much in terms of reducing our debt. But if government does not absorb this type of debt, but rather shifts it to the private sector, then that is where we can say that we have managed to reduce the debt. But as I said earlier, the IMF is pushing strongly that this is national debt in the sense that if there is any default, there is a sovereign guarantee. Government ultimately has to pay this debt. So in terms of debt, I don't think we have done really much in reducing the debt profile.
Assuming this is a conclusion or this is a summary of what the president thinks the economy is, will it be accurate? And let me read it out to you. He says that they've reduced taxes and increased economic growth. He also says that macroeconomic fundamentals are solid and that all critical indices are pointing in the right direction. Is that an accurate picture?
Yeah, to a large extent, one can say that if you look at the deficit figures, 5.6% of GDP is a fairly decent figure. Growth rate has also increased to about 7.9%, although much of the growth is coming from oil. But nevertheless, there is some decent growth rate. Where, for me, I find it challenging is the issue of jobs. Right. Not much in terms of numbers has been generated in terms of jobs. One area I thought which I thought was very good policy, which could rake in the jobs, is the one district, one factory concept of policy. Unfortunately, this hasn't taken off as one would have expected. So not much or not many people have found themselves jobs within the past 1 year. And for me, it's quite worrying because the government came to power on the basis of trying to generate jobs on the promises of getting jobs for people. So it's my hope that going forward, this aspect of the economy will be addressed head-on so that many Ghanaians will be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, Dr. Quartey, he says that by next year, about 100,000 young people should have jobs. So a lot of us are looking forward to that. Hopefully that will help solve the problem you've identified with this analysis.
Well, if you look at the unemployment rate, 100,000 jobs wouldn't solve. Well, it will reduce it, but wouldn't solve it.
Wouldn't solve the problem.
Because look at how many people we churn out of our tertiary institutions, right, and institutions of higher learning and other parts of the economy. And over the past years, there's been, it's not just peculiar to this government. In the past, we have not been able to provide jobs. So there is a backlog of the unemployed people, and therefore you need a quantum jump or significant leap to try to address this problem. 100,000 is a good start, and I believe the government said, or the president said, this is the nation builder's corps. That's where these jobs will be created. He also mentioned the digital marketing and the entrepreneurship program, which will create about 13,000 jobs. But again, the one district, one factory concept, I believe, if it's done very well, will generate more jobs, will reduce rural-urban migration, and we see urbanization, the proper urbanization we want to see, where villages turn to cities, into towns, or capitals, rather than people migrating to centers, which creates a lot of slums and many social challenges.
Okay. Dr. Quartey, we'll say a very big thanks to you for your time here on the show. Dr. Peter Quartey is an economist. He's with ISE at the University of Ghana, and you've heard his analysis there. Even that 100,000 jobs that's been promised next year, he says, would not solve the problem that we face with the economy as far as unemployment is concerned. It will reduce it, by the way, but it won't solve that problem.